3. I can really hear myself now. 2, 1. Waiting for broadcast to be published. And we are live. I just have to change the screen here. Ta-da! Right. Welcome back to episode 2 of Coding in a Lockdown. So I'm joined today by someone I mentioned in the last stream, Stephanie Mark, who is an author and someone that I worked with originally when we were attempting to create somewhat of a larger concept for this adventure idea. How are you doing, Steph?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. It's been a couple of years, number of years since my first adventure of these technical, interactive storytelling things that we're about to discover again.
It has actually been 2015 when we last looked at this.
5 years.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So it's a 5-year anniversary. And what we're going to look at today is all the stuff that we actually started working on. What actually happened, because I didn't explain that in the last one, is Steph and I went and we entered the, what was it called? It was like a game funding competition.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? It was a Scottish something or other as well. There was
It was like Games Funding UK. It was the UK Games Fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got Bob Rice from FBI Entertainment, who is the agent for people like Winifred Phillips and lots of famous musicians.
Yes.
And so he gave us
Yes, she did. Winifred Phillips. She did the Assassin's Creed. I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she did all sorts. She's done loads more since then as well. And who else did we get? We got someone else as well.
We got another composer. I've got him on my Twitter. Can't remember his name though.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it was someone from IDOS as well or something. Anyway, so we got it's so long ago. But we got some great endorsement on the concept. And then obviously we created that video that you saw in the last one, which I'll just play again now, just to get us all back on the same page, which was point and click. Clicking on, we're creating a little audio adventure. It looks really naff, but hopefully what you'll get from it is something a bit more in depth. When you start being able to move around and interact with things in each location, it isn't just going to be some sort of linear audiobook.
No, definitely not linear.
I tapped the dial with my fingers. Nothing happened. Doesn't this always work in the movies?
But of course, we haven't really. We came up with a basic puzzle for this, if you remember.
Yeah, I think I remember doing some storyboard kind of designs about what would be in each room, what the kind of initial level would be.
So
I don't know if you want to kind of.
I was having a look. So you created this map, right?
Oh my god! Yes.
That's
I can't remember the guy's name. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, awesome. Chambers, Francois is Chambers. He was the diplomat. Is that right?
Diplomat captain.
Was it a captain?
Someone. I don't know. He sounds very well born.
And so, just to get into his room, you had an entire level.
Didn't I? I was a bit overboard as well.
And I think when we looked at this, we were like, right, okay, this will be the prototype. And then we were like, you know what? That's going to take probably a year or so. And also, I was like, how the hell are we going to make this work? And so I said, Steph, could you make something really simple? And so you created, I don't know where it is. It's one of these back of a matchbox. Cockpit scenario. So you created this. So you're stuck in the abyss of space. The engine's stalled. Pilot's dead. The co-pilot's unconscious. I think you named him after me. I brushed the pilot's corpse from the chair and nervously took the helm, and you have to restart the engines. And so the puzzle is, how do you do it? And there's an order in which you have to. It's like a launch order that you've got to conduct.
Yep.
So each of these has you've got a button that accelerates the ship. You've got stuff that does nothing at all. You've got gravity unlocks. You've got ship launching, radar confirmation, navigation, levers that stop the alarm systems, which is kind of just a bit of fun. Controls and a rubber chicken and an access card and an unconscious pilot who you prod. Yep, still alive. He's now bleeding in places he didn't before. Brilliant. Oh, that's after kicking him. Nice.
Oh, yes.
And the only exit means that everyone dies and it's game over. So if you quit, it says, sod them, I never liked them anyway. Brilliant. So it's really good. I mean, that's a great little start. I think we could do something more complicated than that quite quickly.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see what else we've got. I should give you control of the screen. Do you want a control of the mouse?
I have no idea what anything is, so you go ahead.
All right. No, well, no,
also, I'm kind of scared. This is what, I was 20.
Oh, that's 2016 here.
Yeah. Oh, God. 2016.
Game blurb. So this is backstory.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of backstory. And actually, so it was there was the guy I was talking about before, Christopher Mitchell, who does Mage Lands. So it's this guy that did the original universe design. So I think you were reading his original scripts, and he created this
Breach or something.
Yeah, so he created loads and loads of backstory about the universe, which you absorbed and then built this kind of story on, because we were trying to put it in the whole Breach universe. What else did we do? Oh, that was the application video. We've got some voice recordings that you did. I didn't even realize you had all these voice recordings.
I completely forgot about this.
Guy didn't do much. Guy was just you know what? No, never mind.
Lazy, yeah.
Darren did loads.
Darren went overboard. He loved this. I remember this.
I was listening to these, and I was just let's have a listen.
It's Francois. Middle-aged, serious.
I can't hear it.
Verging on boring.
It says that's Francois, middle-aged, serious. I think he said serious. That's Francois. Middle-aged, serious, verging on boring.
Oh yeah.
So you've already started creating dialogues for the characters.
Now imagine this for 4 hours yesterday.
You really went full. I didn't realize you'd done quite this much. Okay, concepts.
My excuse is I worked at a bank at the time, so I needed to kind of outlet my.
Oh, totally. I get that. I was the same when I was working at a bank. But I think we were both working at banks at the time, so explains a lot.
And neither of us are, which is great.
If you want creative output, just go and work at a bank. And it'll leave you lots of time to think about better things to do with your life. Cool. Oh wow, blimey. So you've got different concepts of background here.
Oh yeah.
And here's Francoise, born to French parents but brought up in an American faction homeworld. Oh my God, you put so much thought into it. Well, I mean, obviously, you're an author and I'm not. I can't write for Toffee, and I have no idea how to even start writing about characters. But obviously, being able to create backstory for them all and giving them, actual character.
To be fair, that is half the kind of allure of any BioWare game anyway. You don't enjoy Mass Effect for the gameplay, you enjoy it for the story, and you enjoy it for the whole background of who's in what part of the galaxy any part of time. That's why you love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got a spelling error there, Steph. Didn't have autocorrect back in 2015.
No, we did not. Back in the day. When we were but youngsters.
Yeah. Your game objective is to discover who shot him and prevent war before you arrive on the planet Trellick, which is actually very similar to the whole Breach game concept, which was about an assassination.
Yeah, I think I remember that, yeah.
Concept B was There is peace in the Middle East. Interesting.
This is definitely fiction.
You're the player running for your life. Oh, right. You're running for your life. You need to leave Earth before you're killed. Killed for knowledge that no one should have. Everything you've ever known is a lie. There is no cure for cancer. There is no peace in the Middle East. I like this. A comedy's good. I mean, we could do whatever we want at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think, what I want to be doing, I'd like to give you some direction on starting points, because the way we're going to build this is I don't want to go too overboard. So what I was saying before is that if we start with something really basic, like I've already outlined some of the basic ideas, and I have no idea what I did with it, but oh, yes, I do. It's right here. Hey, so I've got an idea that we're going to have locations, obviously, and you're going to be able to move around from location to location. I think that should be a good starting point. I was actually thinking, like, I've got to get my head out of what we were trying to do with Spordio. What we're trying to do with Spordio was create a tool. We weren't actually trying to create. So my goal was to create a tool, which is a huge amount of work in comparison to just creating a proof of concept, which is probably what I should have done. And so in this, we're just going to create the game. Full stop. That's all we're going to do. So we're going to start with some locations. And
I'd say I think a bit, like, if we're going to start with, we're supposed to have at least one location. But maybe for a bit of variety, if we could start with maybe 3.
You can start with what, sorry?
3?
Oh, you can have as many as you like.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a go with Godot in a sec, and I'll just give you a little idea of how it works, because it's really easy and it's graphical. So, I think it's just crashed. Nice.
Excellent.
That's not a good advert for Godot, but you know what? I'm running so many things here and been crashing all sorts of things. I just update my graphics drivers. That's probably what's done it. So I think the starting point is if you can move around locations. Step 1, let's do that. And then have a description for that and have like some sort of navigation. Really, really simple. We're going to start with something, just a proof of concept, and see how it works in Godot and get an idea how it works. Then we can start looking at putting objects in and interacting with those objects. So that introduces puzzles. And then, obviously, we're going to have a player, but we can define some more about this player. We can do all sorts of stuff about the player. And also, something I didn't mention before would be the game, because the game is going to include your things like your current location, or, current location could be part of the player. If you were to do something like that, then you could also be creating some sort of multiplayer game, because you could have different players with different locations. Oh, I'm getting carried away again. Anyway,
I was about to say.
So a game has some locations in it, and it has some characters in it, and the location has some objects in it, and it has a player in it who has a current location and blah blah blah. And so we're just going to
kind of like pyramid is like almost like what's that?
Yeah, totally. So I'll give you a quick look at it now, because I'm trying to keep these live streams like bite-sized chunks. I'm trying to do it every day, almost. So I want bite-sized chunks, just so it's like you can go to bed, because it's like almost 9:30 now.
What does 9:30 mean anymore to anyone?
Yeah, I still have to work in the morning. Are you not working?
No.
Are you not? Oh man.
I stopped working December.
Wow. Oh man. Yeah. Well,
I've been in lockdown essentially since then. So.
That is awesome. I would love to be in a lockdown and actually not working and just being able to do it. So, well, you've got time on your hands. Let me give you some ideas.
Yeah.
So here's Godot. So it is a game development kit. It's really good. I really like it. So essentially, we're not creating a 3D game here, but this is like the 3D developer side. We're going to create essentially a 2D game. So this little box here is our screen. And we're going to create nodes, which are essentially objects which define how our game works. So, for example, we can. I'm gonna make a 2D scene. I'm gonna just call it the game, and I'm gonna save it. Create a new folder. Call it scenes. And this is the main game scene. So it's called game. So that's it. Nothing else to worry about. Now we can create a new scene. And let's say this is a location. So I'm going to call it location. And then what we need to do is define the properties of a location. So now bear in mind, I'm no good with this yet. I'm going to attach a script to the location. I'm going to create another folder here called scripts. So I'm not teaching anyone how to do this. I'm literally I've done a bit, but I've got a lot to learn. So you get this like blank script here, and I'm going to open up Google, and I'm going to type in Godot export variable. And because I already know the keywords I want here, Godot exports. All right, export blah blah blah. Right, that'll do. So if I go into Godot, and so what was one of the things that we want to export? Sorry, what were one of the properties that we want for the game for a location? Description, name.
Description, name.
Introduction. Yeah, name and introduction. Yeah. So okay, so this will be name equals whatever. Export for description. Introduction. Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Equals whatever, something, right? Saving that as location scene. Save. It says name already exists. All right, name. It's already got a name. It's called location. Yep. So it's like, what the hell are you talking about? That's fine. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, we'll call it location name. How's that? Is that okay? Yeah, it's happy with that. Now, if I go and look at this 2D view again, look over here.
We'll have something there.
Location name and introduction. I've now set these up. Okay. So if I go back into the game, I can add a location to the game. I've created a location, so I can drag this location in. Here we go. I've now got this location up here.
That's where it is in its 3D kind of space.
Yeah, so I can call this...
It's 2D at the moment.
Yeah, it's just 2D, yeah. There's nothing... Because it's all just theory. There's nothing to see at the moment. But we can call this... what should we call it? Airlock. You're in the airlock. Welcome to the airlock. This will make more sense when we get, like, some kind of way of moving around. And then I can have more locations and so on. If you wanted some sort of view of what that actually is, then what we could do is export an image. So what we can do, now we can change what a location is. What is a location? So we can say, well, location has let's give it a texture rectangle, which is basically something we can throw a picture into. So I've got an icon here. I'm going to throw in. Ta-da! I've got a little face. Right. So now location has a picture.
Yeah.
So I go back to my game. I can see, hey, there's my location. It's on the screen. It has presence, and I can add another location, and so on. And I could, if I make the texture like a background image that we can define as part of our location up here, then what that'll allow us to do is say this is a background image for this location, for example. Yeah. So again, I need to do all that. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just trying to show you that there is like a visual side to all this. And what it'll mean is we can build the game up, creating location, and then we can go into those locations and say, this location has these objects. So then we have to define an object as a scene, and then attach objects to the location. Yeah, absolutely. Then we can start adding logic. So we can have a scene, we can have a script at each location, and we can start saying, if the player did this, do this. And actually, if we don't lock it down too much, we don't create some sort of hard framework around it, Godot is going to let us do all sorts of cool stuff, like literally so much cool stuff that, well, we'll see. One thing I was looking at was what's his name? The guy that did Monkey Island. He made Thimble. Is it Thimbleweed Park? Yeah, Thimbleweed Park blog. Have you seen that? I think I might have sent you it ages ago. And he talks about
Ron Gilbert. Yeah.
Ron Gilbert. That's the one. So he talks about how he creates the puzzles.
Yep.
So he works backwards. So he says, like, you start with the end goal being that you've got to get into the airlock. So that means you need the code to get in. So there's a keypad and a code. But then to get the code is written on a piece of paper, which is locked in an office, and you work your way backwards like that. So
start with the solution and end with the.
Yeah.
Well, start with the exactly.
Start with it. Yeah. Exactly.
I think I remember talking to him about this on Twitter at some point.
Really? Oh yeah, I think you did. Yeah. You were giving him some messages and shit. Yeah, he seems. But you know what I realized is that he's so stuck in the 80s and 90s. Like, if you read the blogs as well, he's like, I'm back in 1987. And I'm like, no, hang on.
No.
Because I was really into this when they were making it. And then when it came out, I played it for like 10 minutes and I was like, damn, you know what? This genre is just, we've come a long way from this. And I just couldn't get back into it. So, nowadays it's like The Witcher 3. Right?
Why are we doing this again?
Yeah, exactly. So,
we can't all be CD Projekt Red though, so. That's
true. But there still needs to be a new level of engagement, something interesting that, for me, especially growing up in the 80s and playing so many of these, there's nothing new there. I need to have that something new in my experience in order to make me want to progress. And if it's just the same thing again, I think it's just got tired. So Thimbleweed Park for me was just already tired even when it came out. Even though
but to be fair, it's like a 1980s, 90s format.
True.
But actually, when you think about it, when you think about all the kind of AAA games that are coming out right now, they're all the same thing. They're all copy-pastes of everything. Like, the last year has just been atrocious for new games.
Yeah.
So actually, what we're trying to do is essentially kind of capture that magic from the 90s of the kind of point and click, but deliver a kind of new, different story to it, which is sadly what's lacking from any new game that's coming out nowadays anyway. So
yeah, and also we don't want to be restricted by a huge graphical budget.
No, exactly.
We're only going to be restricted by a huge audio budget, which is a lot cheaper.
Yes.
And we can do it ourselves by making stupid noises over the microphone and playing on synthesizers. Easy, right? Anyone could do it. So that'll be fun as well. I think you were really getting into it straight away, recording the dialogues and stuff.
Love it.
So I can't wait to get to that point. So that's why I say let's just create a game straight away. So you don't have to be here every session, but it'd be great to have you whenever you're free. You are more than welcome to join us here. And but hey, if you want to drive the story and the creativity of how it's going to work, oh my God, I am in.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Cool. Well, look, you see, if we do it every night, maybe take a break now and again, but if we do it every night, then and just in little increments, then we're going to make progress. And if we commit to just a teeny bit each time, then we are going to get there, and we're going to make something that works and hopefully is fun. But if anyone's watching, which, let's see, how many viewers have we got? 0 viewers. 1,000 viewers. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong numbers. I'm just seeing the 0 at the end. Then check out the Thimbleweed Park blog if you're interested in creating point-and-click adventure games. We're not creating a point-and-click adventure game. We're creating something new that's never been done before, apart from in our imagination 5 years ago. So, anyway, right. I think we'll stop there. But starting point, conceptualize either something completely new or however you want to start. If you want to start fresh, I think that might be good because it might give you, it give you something new to do. But if you're going to draw a map, just a wee hint at the map is that you will, if you exist in this corridor, then you're in this corridor. So that's a lot of exits to have. But that could work. That could still work, right? You could go in this room, this room, this room, this room, this room.
Yeah. 32-year-old Steph is all about simplicity. So.
Oh, nice! Yeah. All right. 43-year-old Julian is also on that same page. It's taking me a while. But yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, look, you know what? Come up with a fresh, brand new idea. Just remember that we might be having to do all the voiceovers ourselves. And your man. Yeah. Has he got a good voice for recording?
He's got a posh one. I do know, so I could maybe get my...
Perfect. Just write in.
My audiobook, my actual audiobook for my actual book. He'll probably be in. He's probably got the equipment at home. I certainly know that there's a couple of people I can ask who wouldn't mind.
Nice.
They've got the equipment at home. So
don't ask them too early. But then
no.
Once they agree, write them into the plot. I've got a dog, so if we need barking... Then
in space, definitely.
It doesn't have to be space, mind you. I'm thinking like, so you're really good at comedy. I love that. So definitely could do comedy. Horror would also be good. You're quite good at that as well.
Mine?
That might be, I think so. It's pretty horrific. Some of the stuff, bombs going off and screaming and. You know, you blew up Edinburgh in one of your books, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, that's horror, but it was part of the drama, right?
Half of that book is happening right now, so yeah.
Yeah, true enough. But anyway, whatever. Sky's the limit. As long as our starting point is some locations we're going to move around. So we can evolve it if you want, but we'll have some area that you move around. That's our first step. If we can get that working... Yay! And then we'll move on from there. So
it's just gonna be basically it's just like Lego for PCs. You build one brick and then you build another.
Exactly. And there will be evenings where I'm just typing away and it's really boring. Yeah. So I forgive you if you're really not interested. But as soon as I say, all right, it's ready, then
you can just do a montage of your keyboard just typing away.
No, that's the whole point is that I want to be like talking about the coding. So there will be no montage. Well, there might be, but I'll have to create some sort of video afterwards. You know what I don't want to end up doing is creating a load of YouTube videos and editing them all and getting rid of all the spraff and waffle. And I just not, that's not for me. I want to actually just focus on creating something here. So yeah. FYI. Right, cool. Brilliant. Thank you very much for joining. And hopefully we'll catch you up tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. No pressure. Yeah. If you're busy, then that's all right. But otherwise, I think, what sort of time do you fancy?
What works for you?
Usually this sort of time. So sort of 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Bit late?
That could be good.
Not too late? It's just like...
I have no bedtime.
Yeah. Oh, right. Perfect.
Feral adult in the wilderness of nighttime.
Nice. All right. Cool. All right. We'll go for 9 o'clock. But I will be trying to create working locations. So I'll do a little bit of planning. So I'm not just stumbling around in the dark. And then we'll have a bash. Cool.
Shall I try and create some sort of vague concept?
Yeah. Go for it. Awesome,
I could give you a menu. A very simple.
A menu? What? Options? All right, okay.
Options. I will give you options.
All right, as long as you're just as keen on all of them, then that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. I just want something you're keen on, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah? Sweet.
That sounds good then.
Nice.
Excellent.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Steph. And thanks for everyone that might watch this later on. Feel free to join us at 9 p.m. tomorrow for the next episode.
Which is the 2nd of April.
Which is the 2nd of April. Yep, that's the one. Cheers, Steph. Right. Have a good night. Stay safe. And see you later. What do I do now? There's no like ending the stream button here, so I think I'm just going to have to hit end
Man, I
stream.
hope I get